On the screen and on page 105, figure 1612, we have another French Impressionist painter, Edgar Degas, and his most famous subject matter, ballet dancers. If you ever see Impressionist paintings of ballet dancers, you can just pretty much bet, no, go ahead and bet, that you're looking at Degas' work. Here we've got, again, all three characteristics of Impressionism. We've got capturing the moment between the time your eye sees the object and your brain tells you what it is, the fuzzy, blurry nature, just the raw shapes and colors. We've got capturing the moment when light is doing a particular thing, as the light reflects off the tutus, the costuming here. And then capturing a moment of activity, the accidental nature of the painting. This isn't a dance company posing for a portrait, but just adjusting their costumes, getting ready to go on stage. I've got some other examples of Degas' ballet dancers here for you to look at. There we go. A ballet studio scene here. Here the violinist playing the music for the ballet dancers to dance to. There's no MP3 players or cassette tapes or what do you call those things? 8-track tapes or LPs. And another scene here. And finally, if my cursor wakes up, there we go. One here very similar to what you have in your textbook, the rehearsal, just adjusting the costumings, the accidental nature of the painting. These women aren't posing for a portrait, but just a moment, capturing a moment of activity here. The second subject matter to associate with Degas is his interest in horses. Degas is a horseman himself, and he is interested in the horse world. Here you see a painting of some horses. And I've got some other examples of his paintings of racetrack scenes and so on. But even more famous than any paintings of horses are a series of small sculptures of horses. You have one in your textbook, figure 1611, on page 105, and some others here. These are very small. They're about shoebox size, cast in bronze usually. We have two on the screen, and I have another. There we go. I don't know why this computer is so slow. If it's frustrating to you, it's frustrating to me too. But some other examples of Degas' horses here. These little statues of horses, are copies of them, are popular with people who like horses. You may have noticed there's lots of people around this part of the world who do. And so as you travel around town, keep your eyes open. You may see one somewhere, or at least a replica of one. Maybe a starting point for a conversation. On page 106, you have, there we go, some examples of the work of Mary Cassatt. Cassatt is an American artist. She did most of her painting in France, but she's considered an American artist. And Cassatt's favorite subject matter, mothers with their children. To the left on the screen, you see figure 1614 in your textbook. Again, just pointing out the characteristics of Impressionism here. We have the just the raw shapes and colors. There's no attempt to capture the individual hairs in the mother's hair, but just the light, that second characteristic, the light reflecting off the hair, and then the accidental nature of the painting. This isn't a mother and child posing for a portrait. It doesn't have that kind of phoniness about it. You remember thinking back to Holbein's portrait of Edward VI that we looked at coming out of the Northern Renaissance. That phony 2-year-old. Well, here you see a real baby with snot and drool and all the things that go along with babies. Figure 1613 on that page is to the left on the screen, and you see some other examples of Cassatt's work. If you ever see Impressionist paintings of a mother and a child, or I suppose to the bottom right there, a grandmother and some grandchildren, then you can just bet that you're looking at Cassatt's work. Her work is very popular with mothers, and as Mother's Day comes around, keep your eyes open. You'll see coffee cups and mouse pads and calendars and all kinds of things with Mary Cassatt's work on them. She's dead, so the greeting card companies don't have to pay her any money. And another, finally, a work by Cassatt where the father shows up. He's rowing the boat there, but obviously the focus is on the mother and the child. On page 106, you have the big name for Impressionist sculpture. We looked at Degas' horse sculptures. There we go. And figure 1615 on page 106, Rodin's The Kiss. With Impressionist sculpture, we don't have so much the breaking things down into shapes and colors. That would just end up with a pile of gravel. But we do have a softness to the line. We wouldn't use that phrase deep cuts like we did with Bernini to describe the sculpture here. And just the accidental nature of the scene. This isn't a couple posing for a portrait, but just capturing a moment of activity. And on the screen and in your textbook, figure 1616, Rodin's The Thinker, Le Penseur in French. A famous scene, you've seen the Thinker in comic strips and TV commercials and that kind of thing. We own a Rodin Thinker. Rodin made several sculptures on the same theme. By we, I mean the College of Central Florida. It's in our museum across town in the Appleton Museum. I don't say a lot about the Appleton to you, but it really is something special. It makes CF a special place. I can tell you there aren't any other state colleges in Florida where humanities professors say we own a Rodin sculpture, and it's in a Rodin Thinker for that matter, and it's in our museum. Well, that sums us up for Impressionism, and we're ready to move on to our next movement, Post-Impressionism.